You ever have one of those moments where your entire life folds in on itself, but instead of panicking, you just sip your coffee and smile? Yeah, that was me the day my wife decided she was done pretending to be faithful. Name's Brandon. I'm 39, born and raised in Missoula, Montana. I've been married to Kelsey for 7 years, at least on paper. Emotionally, I think she checked out somewhere around year 5, right about when she got her summer body obsession and started spending more time at the gym than at home. I figure it was just a phase. Mid-30s vanity, trying to hold on to youth, all that. I was patient, supportive even. What I didn't realize back then was that while I was working late to build a future for us, handling the books of my dad's small but successful contracting business, she was building a future too. Just not with me. Now, Kelsey always had this little edge to her. Charming on the outside, but underneath, cold, calculating. She could lie with the same ease she brushed her hair. And man, did she lie. Late night, Zumba classes, trips with the girls, a sudden interest in meal prepping chicken breasts for two when I sure as hell wasn't eating them. Still, I stayed quiet, observant. Not because I was naive. I just knew I had cards she didn't even know existed. Because here's the kicker. She thought everything we had was ours. The house, the cars, the savings. What she didn't know, what I never told her, is that legally, almost none of it was in my name. My dad owned the house. He set it up that way when he sold it to me for $1, but kept the deed. Same with the business account. Hell, even the joint savings was technically under the LLC tied to my father's trust. I never needed to put my name on anything. And thank God for that. Because when the time came, when she made her move, served me divorce papers like she was dropping the mic on some triumphant finale, I already knew I wasn't going to fight her. I was going to let her think she won. The day I found out about the trainer was comically predictable. You'd think after all the covert lies and excuses, she'd try to hide it better. But no. I came home early from work because my dad had a dentist appointment, and we shut the office down early. I pulled into the driveway and saw an unfamiliar truck parked like it belonged there. There was a gym bag on the passenger seat and a half-drunk energy drink on the dash. That was red flag number 1. Inside, I heard them before I saw them. Not what you think, just laughter, loud and too comfortable. I didn't say a word, just stood in the hallway long enough to hear her complain about how stupid and boring I'd gotten and how she deserved better, someone who made her feel alive again. That someone, apparently, was named Travis. Looked like he belonged on the cover of a supplement bottle and spoke like he thought flexing was a language. I backed out quietly, unnoticed. I didn't rage. I didn't confront. I drove to my dad's place, sat on the porch swing, and let it sink in. The betrayal didn't hurt the way I thought it would. It was more like confirmation, the last puzzle piece sliding into place. And here's where the real game began. That night, she came home late, hair still damp from the gym, mascara slightly smudged. She kissed me on the cheek like nothing had happened. I smiled, told her I'd ordered Thai, her favorite, and asked how her boot camp went. She lit up, told me she was sore in all the right places. I bet she was. The next few weeks were surreal. She ramped up the charm, cooked more, complimented me more, probably trying to soften me up before the kill shot. And sure enough, 2 days before our anniversary, it came. I walked into the kitchen after work and saw a manila envelope sitting on the counter. Her gym bag was by the door, packed fuller than usual. She looked smug, almost glowing. Told me she was filing for divorce, one of the house, half our savings, and one of the cars. Said she didn't want to make it ugly, but she deserved her share. Told me I could keep the tools and the truck. How generous. I nodded, told her I understood. She looked thrown off by how calm I was. No fight, no begging, just a quiet okay. She even asked if I had something to say, like she was fishing for a scene. But I didn't give her one, because she didn't know. The next morning, she was all business. Had her coffee in one hand and a fake look of pity on her face, like she was doing me a kindness by not yelling. Told me she'd already talked to a lawyer. Said we could do this the easy way if I just signed the papers and handed over what was fair. Fair. That word hung in the air like a bad smell. I nodded again, played it cool, and told her I'd have someone look over the papers. No rush, right? She smiled like a fox. Said she appreciated me being mature. Meanwhile, I was already 3 steps ahead. I called my dad from the shop, filled him in, and the old man just laughed. Said, about time she showed her hand. See, my dad never liked Kelsey. Said there was something off about her from the jump. She was polite, sure, but too polished. Like she rehearsed her charm in front of a mirror. He warned me once, years ago, to be careful where I put my name, especially with her. That's why every big asset stayed under the trust or business accounts. It wasn't that I didn't trust her at the beginning. I just listened to the voice in the back of my head. The one that whispered when she got a little too friendly with waiters. Or when she'd accidentally forget to pay her half of something for the 5th month in a row. So when I called my lawyer, a buddy from college who owed me more than one favor, he nearly cackled. Told me she didn't have a leg to stand on. That if she wanted to take it to court, she'd have to prove ownership on things that weren't even mine to begin with. And the kicker? She'd already signed a prenup back when she was still pretending to be humble. One that said anything tied to my family's business was off limits. She either forgot or never read the fine print. So I smiled, played along, started separating my stuff slowly, pretending to pack up like I was preparing to leave. All the while, she was strutting around like she just won the jackpot. She had no idea she was walking toward a cliff. It didn't take long for cracks to show. Kelsey started spending more time at Travis's place, which was actually a sketchy one-bedroom above a smoothie bar. Not quite the fairy tale she envisioned, I guess. Meanwhile, she was still under the impression that the house was practically hers. She kept leaving laundry, yoga mats, and little post-it notes on things like she was claiming territory in a war. She even brought her mom by one afternoon while I was home early. Thought I wasn't there, I guess. I overheard her talking in that smug tone she always reserved for when she thought she had the upper hand, telling her mom how once the divorce was finalized, she'd finally have a home of her own. No more sharing with a man who worked with his hands and smelled like sawdust. You ever hear someone strip your entire worth down to scent and calluses? That stung a little, but the thing that really lit the fuse? She said she couldn't wait to get her half of my dad's company. She actually said that, like she thought she was entitled to a piece of something my family had been building since before she was born. At that point, I stopped playing nice. I had my lawyer quietly file a response to the divorce, along with a full inventory of assets, most of which were under my dad's trust or company accounts. My lawyer included a certified copy of the prenup for good measure. I didn't tell her, just waited. 2 days later, I came home to find her standing in the living room holding the response packet, her face frozen. The smugness was gone, replaced by confusion, then irritation, then outright panic. She asked what the hell all this was. I told her, calm as ever, that I'd responded through legal channels and that everything was being handled above board. That's when the fire really started. She lost it, said I was trying to screw her over, said I was hiding money, said my dad was controlling me like a puppet. I didn't raise my voice, just reminded her she signed everything years ago, that we agreed, in writing, that what belonged to the business stayed with the business. She accused me of lying, said it wasn't fair, that she gave me the best years of her life. That line, that's the one they all use when their plan starts to collapse. After the papers hit her hands and the panic set in, Kelsey did what people like her always do. She tried to control the narrative. She started telling anyone who'd listen that I was emotionally abusive, that I manipulated her, that I was hiding money. She even told her trainer boy Travis that I forged documents to cut her out of the assets. Said I was gaslighting her with legal tricks, whatever that means. And the worst part? For a few days, it worked. I got texts from mutual friends asking if I was okay. One of her girlfriends, the loud one with the fake laugh and too many motivational quotes on Instagram, messaged me saying she was so disappointed in the man I'd become. I didn't respond. I didn't defend myself. I just waited, because time always reveals the truth, especially when someone's built their story on a lie. A week later, it started falling apart. One of her friends, someone I always got along with, quietly reached out. Said Kelsey had been bragging about playing the long game and how she was going to get paid to leave. She literally said that out loud in a wine bar, on speakerphone. That friend took screenshots, audio clips, and sent them to me. Then Travis, the trainer, realized he was not only dating a married woman, but one who wasn't taking him with her to some beachfront condo. Turns out, Kelsey had promised him they'd move into her house once everything settled. Well, surprise. He bailed, ghosted her mid-text conversation, apparently, left a sweaty hoodie in her car, and never came back for it. After that, the mask started to slip. She came home looking like a raccoon in a windstorm, eyeliner smeared, hair frazzled, fury barely bottled. She demanded to renegotiate the terms. I told her there was nothing to negotiate. She tried to threaten me with what the court will think if I didn't compromise. Said I was cruel. Said she'd make sure everyone knew who I really was. I told her, again, calmly, that I didn't need anyone to believe me, because now I had proof. Kelsey didn't take it well when she realized the sympathy campaign was failing. People stopped texting her back. Her own cousin, the one who used to call me so boring it hurts, posted a vague status about karma being a mirror. I didn't even have to clap back. Life did it for me. But the real fireworks came during our court hearing. She showed up in a power blazer like she was on Real Housewives of Missoula. Full glam, red folder under her arm. It looked like she was about to win a custody battle for the family yacht. I showed up in a plain button-up, no tie, holding a 3-ring binder and a quiet smile. My lawyer? He was practically humming with anticipation. We sat down across from each other. She tried small talk, something about how she hoped we could be adults. I nodded and said nothing. She was still operating under the delusion that this was going to end in her walking out richer. She had no clue what was about to hit her. The judge went through the motions. We submitted the prenup, the trust documentation, the full financial breakdown, all airtight. My lawyer presented everything in a tone so calm it felt like a bedtime story. Meanwhile, Kelsey's face started doing this twitchy thing. Her attorney flipped through her copy of the prenup like it was written in Latin. She kept whispering to him. He kept frowning. Then came the best part. The judge turned to her and asked why she thought she was entitled to assets clearly excluded in the prenup. And her answer, I'll never forget it, was that she thought the prenup wouldn't hold up because I wasn't nice anymore. She actually said that. In court, under oath. My lawyer didn't even object. Just let it hang in the air like secondhand embarrassment. The judge adjusted her glasses and asked if Kelsey had any additional arguments. She didn't. Verdict? Prenup upheld. No spousal support. No stake in the business. The house? Still in my dad's name, so not marital property. The car? Leased in the company's name. The savings? Business account. Travis? Gone. Kelsey? Broke. Bitter. And living in a studio apartment over a vape shop. About a month after the ruling, just when I was starting to remember what quiet felt like, she reached out. It started small. A message on Facebook with a simple hey. No punctuation, no context. I ignored it. Then came the texts, hope you're doing okay, followed by, I think about you a lot. Then the classic, can we talk? I didn't respond. A few days later, I bumped into her at the grocery store. She looked rough, like life had finally started to hit her in the face instead of handing her everything on a silver platter. No makeup, messy bun, wearing one of those discount gym shirt from a clearance bin. She reached for a pack of instant noodles and saw me. She smiled like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just tried to burn down my life and dance in the ashes. Said she'd been doing a lot of reflecting. That maybe we both made mistakes. That maybe there's still something worth saving. I stood there for a moment, watching the woman who used to take selfies in our kitchen like it was a magazine shoot, now picking out Dollar Brand cereal like she was auditioning for humility. I told her I hoped she found what she was looking for. Then I paid for my groceries and walked out. But it didn't stop. A week later, her mom called me. Said Kelsey was struggling and confused, and that maybe I could find it in my heart to help her back on her feet. I told her I'd already done that once, and she used those feet to walk out the door. Then Kelsey emailed me a whole 3-paragraph essay about how she felt lost and missed the stability we had. Said she shouldn't have listened to the wrong people. Said I was always her anchor. She signed it, always Kels. You ever read something so full of guilt and desperation actually makes you feel sorry for the person? Yeah, me neither. After that email, I didn't reply. Not because I didn't have anything to say. Trust me, I had paragraphs. But because silence is its own kind of closure. It was finally clear to me she didn't miss me. She missed the version of me that paid the bills, picked up her pieces, and let her walk all over the line between partner and parasite. But here's the twist she didn't see coming. I wasn't just letting go emotionally. I was selling the house. Yep, my dad and I had been discussing it for months, even before the divorce drama. He was retiring soon, and the house had tripled in value. I've been living in it for years, but legally, it was still in his name. So we listed it, quietly. Didn't put a sign out front. Didn't post it publicly. Just worked with a private buyer, a guy who made a cash offer within a week. The same week, Kelsey emailed me. You know what came next, right? She showed up at the door a few days later, claiming she left something in the garage. Said she just needed a few minutes. I stepped out onto the porch, crossed my arms, and told her I didn't live there anymore. She blinked, confused, thought I was bluffing. I wasn't. Told her the house had been sold, that the new owner was moving in that weekend. Her face dropped, like I'd yanked the floor out from under her last backup plan. No more place to accidentally stop by. No more leverage. And then, the best part, I handed her a small box I'd found while cleaning out the attic. Inside, a framed photo of us from year one. One of those ones she used to post with hashtags like #blessed and #mylove. Taped to the back was the original prenup. I told her I figured she'd want a souvenir. She didn't take it. She just stood there, holding tears back with every bit of pride she had left. Then she left, and I finally, truly exhaled. The first few mornings after the household were weird. I moved into a modest place on the edge of town. Nothing flashy, just quiet. Had a little patch of lawn I didn't have to mow unless I felt like it. No reminders of perfume in the hallway. No more passive-aggressive sticky notes on the fridge. Just the sound of my own breathing and the occasional creak of old floorboards. And it felt amazing. I didn't realize how much space she took up in my head until she was gone from my life completely. No more second-guessing my own instincts. No more pretending I didn't notice when she came home smelling like someone else's cologne and stories that didn't add up. Just peace. I started sleeping better, waking up earlier. Hell, I even got back into woodworking, something I'd pushed aside during the marriage because she said it made too much mess. Bought some new tools, set up a little corner in the garage, built a bench with my own hands and sat on it with a beer, watching the sky turn that soft Montana pink at dusk. I wasn't rich. I wasn't living in a beachfront condo. But for the first time in years, everything around me felt earned. A couple of weeks in, I ran into someone I hadn't seen in forever. Her name was Lacey. We went to high school together. She'd married young, divorced early, and now ran a little flower shop on Higgins Avenue. Said she always remembered me as the quiet guy with the kind eyes. We grabbed coffee, talked about everything and nothing. She didn't ask what happened with Kelsey. Didn't need to. I think the way I smile now, not forced, not tight, said enough. It wasn't a romance, not yet, but it felt human, like talking to someone who sees you without needing anything from you. No game, no angle, just honesty. And in that moment, I realized something simple but powerful. I didn't lose everything. I finally let go of what was never mine to begin with. It was a Saturday morning, late spring, air still cool, windows cracked just enough to let in the scent of pine and possibility. I was sanding down a shelf in the garage, old country music playing softly on the radio, when I heard it. 3 knocks. Not the friendly kind. The kind you hear when someone thinks they still have a key to your life. I wiped my hands on a rag, stepped to the door, and opened it, and there she was. Kelsey, wearing sunglasses too big for her face, hair pulled back tight like she was holding herself together with bobby pins and bravado. She held a cardboard box in her hands. A small one, like it mattered what was inside. She said she found a few things that belonged to me, and thought it would be nice to return them. There was a pause, the kind where she clearly hoped I'd invite her in. I didn't. Instead, I stepped out, closed the door behind me, and leaned against the frame. She handed me the box and just stood there. Said she missed this, the quiet mornings, the sawdust, the way I used to make her coffee, just the way she liked it without asking. Her voice cracked when she said she should have fought harder and made different choices. I let her speak, not out of kindness, out of finality. Like watching the last embers of a fire burn out on a cold night. Then she asked, straight-faced, no tremble, if there was any part of me that wanted to try again. And you know what? I didn't hesitate. I told her no, not cruelly, not with anger, just calm. Because for the first time in a long, long while, I didn't feel a single ounce of conflict. She nodded like she expected it, but her hands trembled anyway. She turned to leave, and just before she stepped off the porch, she looked back one last time. Told me I'd changed. I smiled and said, exactly.